I'm acutely aware of the fact that you are in a much better position to judge what is going on in the Philippines and how the Filipinos feel about the US and they feel about China. But let me make some broad observations. Sitting here in Washington, the sense what I have is that your president has been fostering a policy of what I call independence, a little bit more of what I call backing away from the US, a little bit more of pro-China sentiments, but also because of the personalities of your president and the personality of President Trump, a little bit of what I call populist affinity between the Filipino leadership and the Republican leadership today. So you have a mixture of these three forces at play, and they've been basically operating different ways, different points in time. What's going to happen in the future? Well, I think the US is going to basically continue to its policy of trying to establish or maintain a strong presence in the region. And I think two key issues will continue to be concerns for everyone, and that is the South China Sea, which the Filipinos have a strong interest, and the so-called China's Belt and Road Initiative, building much infrastructure and greater links with countries in Asia, Central Asia, South Asia, all the way to Europe. And these are areas which are of concern to the US establishment, and these will be sources of what I call continued attentions in the future. What about what will happen in terms of China's relationships with Philippines, given what's happening in the United States? Well, the United States, I think, will reach out more to ASEAN. It will reach out to the major capitals in East Asia and Southeast Asia. That means that Vietnam, the Philippines, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, they will all get what I call more attention from a Biden administration. ASEAN will probably play a little bit more of a stronger political role. In my view, that will also cause China to think a little bit more about how it can deal in a more cooperative way with ASEAN, how it can deal with what I call the tensions in the region. If I had to summarize what I see as the key challenge facing the Philippines, facing East Asia, facing China, and facing the United States, it's basically this. The tensions, which are very strong and very negative today, for it to change, there are two fundamental issues that have to be dealt with. When President Xi came into power in 2013, his theme, his proposal to then President Obama was the following. He was talking about a new type of great power relations. Now that China was second largest economy, and in purchasing power parity terms, actually the largest global economy, China felt that there should be a new type of what I call role for China in the region and globally. And he thought that the United States should recognize that. Formally speaking, the US government has not done that. And this has driven a lot of what I call the tensions coming out of Beijing. But there's another issue. For policy, for the relationships to improve, it will also require change on the part of Beijing's side. And I go back to what Robert Zoellick, who was Deputy Secretary of State, said many years ago. He talked about China being a more responsible global stakeholder, behaving in a way that reflected the fact that it was now a major power. So what you're going to see, I think, in the coming years is a question of how will the US see China as a great power and deal with it? And from China's side, to what extent is it willing to deal with the kinds of negative concerns in the region and coming out of Washington about its assertiveness and its policies, which are causing issues in terms of human rights and in terms of territorial integrity. And these all will affect, I think, Filipino interests in the coming years.
Yes, I think that point is very good, but because of this tension there, and it's distracted their attention from the ASEAN for the moment. But if we concentrate on our economy, then we will be able to navigate and balance out and continue to benefit from relations with both parties, which we've benefited from more in the last 4 years than the previous administration, because the investments, even while Duterte took an independent foreign policy, what happened was investments, including from Japan, became a multiple, from the EU, from the US, became a multiple of what it was before. Much like a girl having several suitors ends up having more benefits. No? So it depends on how we balance things. And Mr. Yukon's ideas are very useful for us to, and I'm sure he has so many ideas we've read in his YouTube that we can adopt and learn from.
I think Sir George is correct. In fact, the Philippines has benefited in an increase in an independent foreign policy. There is an increase in foreign direct investments in the Philippines. If we look at the numbers comparatively on a year-to-year period, and even in a 4-year time span,